up, you guys? This is Rob from Gay Guy Plays, and today on the Daily Grind, we're going to talk about the 3 different types of player strengths that I believe exist in-game. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you right now, I'm mildly frustrated. I tried to record this video so many times. I actually recorded the original version, and then I decided that there was more things that I wanted to get in-depth with, and there's certain things that I didn't touch on. So I'm trying to do it again. I tried to do a different version where I just recorded audio. It was just all a mess, so pardon me if I'm a little bit flustered, but I want to cover a lot of things in this video. Now, we're going to talk about the 3 different strengths that I feel like Warframe players have, as opposed to different playstyles, because there are definitely different playstyles that also exist, and that's a different thing, but this is kind of like specifically player strengths. So I feel like there are those players that are mechanically strong, and these guys kind of do a lot of research, a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff, where they play test and they really look into things like arcanes, different levels of red crits. These guys are kind of like, I guess, the bookworms, but they come in pre-prepared into the mission and pretty much have the mission won before they're even in it. There are the technically adept, which these guys have amazing spatial awareness. They adapt extremely well. Like basically what happens is if you go into a team mission blind, you don't know who you're going with, and you can adapt your tactics to the way they play ASAP. That's a good sign that you have very, very strong technical strength. And then the last one, and this one sounds really, really lame when I wrote it out, but I really, really strongly feel like it's a very worthwhile thing, but players who are socially adept. Now these guys are amazing at working the markets. They're really, really good at team communication. And one of the biggest strengths that I feel like they have is that they are always well informed, because of the fact that they have so many contacts and connections. These guys can pretty much know everything that's currently going on. Like if they stealth nerfed something, or they stealth buffed something, or if there's a new mechanic that's being exploited, they kind of know everything that's happening. Now, let's do a little bit of and this is one of the reasons that I brought Sound Quick Banshee, so that I can have a little bit of a better conversation with you guys. Let's jump in depth into each of the different kind of styles of players. So there's the mechanically strong. These guys know all of the mechanics that are currently in game, you know, from spawn mechanics and those kind of tactics to the way certain warframes play and synergize with each other. These guys are experts when it comes to the mechanical portion of Warframe. They do a lot of modding, they focus on a lot of different builds, and they do a lot of play testing. Now you see this with people like Distant Observer, you see this with Noob Showtech, which by the way has the cutest German accent ever. I know he did his voice reveal ages ago and I never talked about it, but I wish he would do more of those, because he just sounds so adorable and he just warms my heart. But let's get back to the focus before I start getting all kinds of distracted. Yes, I do have a sheet that I'm looking down right here. Now they know like arcane pairings. They're just very, very well versed in everything mechanic that happens in the game. They know what frames work well in what missions. These guys are the pre-planners. These guys are the modifiers. They're extremely amazing, and I'd like to think that to some degree I belong partially into that house. And we'll talk about how kind of everything synergizes a little bit later on. Is there, I guess we're going this way. The next are the mechanically strong, which, as you can tell by that little portion right there, I am probably mechanically is where I lack the most. But mechanically strong people are very, very aware of their surroundings. They know exactly what's going on. Like, these guys can spot a nullifier from like a mile away. They're super aware of everything that's going on. They tactically reload. They can peek behind cover. They're excellent at all of the actual play in the mission. They use parkour to dodge. They can get into the right positioning. They watch where spawns are coming from. These guys are fantastic, and I think one of the best examples of them is actually DE Rebecca. And I know that sounds really, really strange, but that's one of the reasons that I picked her to be on my Lunaro team, is because this girl adapts to everything that's happening on the fly. She's very, very aware of where other players are coming from, or where other enemies are coming from. She's very, very good at spotting all of that, and clearly that is one of the things that I'm weak at, which we'll talk about in a second. It's kind of like it kind of all boils down to like D&D style stats. You know, you can be really adept be really adept at several of these things, but maybe not super adept at all of them. It's like you spend your statistic points in certain places, but not others. Where is this next one? See? And that's, like I said, that's exactly where I lack, because I'm unaware spatially of where my team is at any point in time. But I actually kind of run into this when you go into public missions, and you run into players that come up with synergies on the fly. They're like, oh, hey, you're here, you're doing this, can you drop this here for me? And then we'll go ahead and synergize and kind of like do a team attack move. Like these guys are absolutely fantastic when it comes to that kind of play, because they just adapt to whatever is currently in the mission, and they react to everything quite well, a lot better than some other players would. So those guys are the technically adept. They're to me that they are really what I at one point would wish that I could be. And a good combination of the mechanically and the technically adept, if you guys have been watching his stuff, is probably Life of Rio. He's absolutely fantastic. He can, number one, he can manage to keep himself sane in a lot of long duration missions, but he also knows his mechanics in addition to that. Now the last one, and the one that I think that a lot of people underestimate the most, oh, and by the way, we're jumping back to technically adept, because I'm really shit at keeping track of this, and this is why the first two videos didn't work. But technically adept players, you actually see a lot of them in players who play people like Banshee. Like Banshee is a very technically adept frame, because there are very few mechanics to keep her alive. So the way that a lot of players who are technically adept they're very agile. They'll run around a lot. They won't stay in the same spot for very long, and they know when to get in and when to get out, and kind of like how to react. She has a lot of reaction shots to shove people around. But Trinity players are also very good, because they have to keep an eye on the health bars, and they also have to keep an eye on where enemies are on the map to be able to EV them. And those two frames are extremely, at least I feel, fit within the house of technically strong. Now we'll move on to socially strong. Socially strong is one of those things that I think is extremely underrated in game. I think that and maybe I hate to like fall into the generic gamer stereotype, but these are the people that know how to talk to other people. These are the people who are very good at communicating. They're good at communicating their wants, their needs. They're good at getting what they want and what they need without pissing anybody off. They're also very good at kind of like staying in touch with a lot of the player base. They tend to have a lot of friends that are mechanically and technically strong, so they either have a very good group of people that they can kind of stand behind and that can help them out when they need help, and they also can tap into their friends who are mechanically strong to keep them informed of, hey, what the fuck is going on with this mechanic? I'm hearing lots of things about this. Could you tell me more about it? Or at least they're socially adept enough to say, oh, this person was talking about this, that person was talking about that. Let's take a look at what's going on with Reddit. Are there any YouTube videos that have been posted on this? Like, let me see what's going on. These socially adept people are always in the know, and I feel like this skill is highly underappreciated in game, and that's probably why the market is just so crap, because people don't know how to talk to each other. They're really good when it comes to the market too, and this is partially one of the reasons I'm talking about this, because yesterday we talked about being adept at the market, but they understand supply and demand. They understand people's wants and people's needs, when to sell, when not to sell. It's because they have a really good interconnection with the community. They can also kind of get a pulse for what is happening in the community and what's kind of important, and all of the not the drama, but all of the things that are like current events and all of the things that are happening now. And I feel that it's a very strong talent to have that is highly underappreciated. But these guys are absolutely fantastic at, they're great. One of the big things about them is they're great at keeping their teams going for long duration runs. You'll usually find at least one socially adept person. You'll find one socially adept person on extended duration runs. They're the ones that can kind of keep the team going, can kind of keep the positivity going. You can tell they're the ones that, they might not necessarily be the ones that are like cracking jokes all the time, but they are the ones that can keep people sane. And they are a very strong addition to the community. The frames that they tend to go for, interestingly enough, is they're the most adaptable. They tend to play a lot of support frames because they are there within their group. So whatever their group tends to need is the frame that they tend to choose. Does that make sense to you guys? It's kind of like, oh, well, you know, I play with a lot of people who like offensive frames, so I'll go ahead and play Nova and keep everything slowed, you know, all that kind of stuff. I think, and that's the great thing about Socially Adept is you understand the wants and needs of your groups. You understand how to keep things going, and you understand that sometimes, you know, they're willing to bite the bullet for their team, and they're like, okay, I really don't want to play Banshee today, but the group really needs this to keep it going, so I'm gonna go ahead and play that character because that is what is needed of me. And that's what's so fantastic about having a socially adept player, is they know that friend A and friend B absolutely, they love playing specific frames, and they hate playing other frames, so they tend to play the frames that are needed that their friends hate. But yeah, so I'm very curious to see what you guys think of these kind of different Warframe player strengths. I know it sounds very strong, but the fact is Warframe is a big game. And when somebody tells you to get good, there's a lot of different avenues that you can get good at. A lot of the times it tends to refer to mechanical or technical, but sometimes those people that tell you to get good need to get socially adept. They need to be a little bit nicer to everybody. You know, you can't be an asshole on the internet all the time. But yeah, so like when I'm talking about these player strengths too, understand that people can have different combinations of these strengths. Like I was saying, Life of Rio is very technically strong and mechanically strong, but streamers like W Greats, who I absolutely love. Oh, actually, it's not W Greats, it's W Greats, because that's how letters work. Okay, there needs to be a W and then a period for it to be W Greats. It's W Greats. But Greats, I think, is fantastically, he's like socially strong. He's really good at getting the information out to his viewers, the people in his audience, and also like when you do extended runs, he tends to be one of the people that are doling out all of the builds that people need. They're like, all right, so you're gonna play this frame. This is what we need from you. Yada yada yada. But he's also very mechanically strong because he does all of the pre-planning. He's very good at getting groups together, and I'd like to think I kind of fall within that category. I'm probably a little bit more mechanically strong than I am socially strong because you see me, you know, ask people out on the internet. That's one of my talents. You know, what talent tree is that, being a bitch to the people on the internet? I don't know, but we'll find out. So there are a lot of different, you know, combinations. There are a lot of, where is this? See, as you can see, my technically adeptness is out of the window. It's see, and this is kind of the interesting thing that I put out there, is kind of like I make up for my technical inadeptness. That's the phrasing that I want to use for it, with becoming mechanically adept. You know, maybe I'm not the greatest at spatial awareness. You know, maybe that's not my #1 trait that I'm good at. I'm good at taking down nullifiers. I'm good at spotting them and taking them down. But you know, I'm not the greatest at technical adeptness. So what happens is I have a whole bunch of mechanical information that I completely understand, and I use that to make up for my technical adeptness. And as you can see with some people, there are some people that absolutely know fucking nothing in the game, but they have lots of friends that do understand, so they're able to pull that into their repertoire. They're like, I don't know what's going on, but this guy says that I should use this build, and this guy's really good at this, and he's telling me that I should do that. So hopefully they have enough insight to research it, but that's how socially adept people work. You know, they get all these they get all this information from their group mates, their teammates, their guild mates, because they're consistently networked to these people, and they're able to bring in all of that knowledge from them because of the fact that they are linked. And these people, you know, because they're socially adept, people are more than happy to help them because they know how, you know, the socially adept folks know how to talk to other people, and for the most part are, you know, well received and well liked by their communities. So that's kind of how I feel, and I feel like I'm a little bit more mechanically adept, and with the touch of social adeptness, and maybe I need to work on my technical adeptness. Let's be real with that. I mean, I'm not bad, but I'm definitely not the greatest, you know? I could definitely work on that. So I think that a fun way, and I want to make sure that you guys do this kindly and nicely, by the way. I want to make sure that you are not, I want to make sure that you guys are not being a-holes to anybody. But yeah, I want you guys to list down in the comments below who you think when the Warframe community represents mechanically adept, technically adept, socially adept, who you think, those players are, and also for yourself, where do you think you fall within this spectrum of specialization? Now, for those of you guys who do feel, and let's face it, this is the internet, there's gonna be people who are like, I'm masters of them all! Let's be real, you're probably not if you're saying that you're masters of them all, because socially adept people would not have to shove that down people's throats, okay? Just letting you know, maybe you haven't mastered the social aspect. Maybe you should get good in that social aspect, okay? But, no. I want to know, for those of you who do feel, and this is great tips for, anybody in the comment sections, who feel like they're really, really good mechanically, they're very strong mechanically, or they're very strong technically, what tips would you give other players who want to get better at that specific aspect? I said accent, and that was not right. But yeah, that's kind of like how I'm feeling, because it's like, I would love to get technically better. I would love to expand my stat pools, as they would say in the D&D world. I don't actually know what happens in the D&D world, so that could be totally fake. But yeah, I want to know what you guys think, for those people who do, why was there nobody at all? Nobody wanted to get any, nobody wanted to get any power into this machine? But yeah, for those of you guys who do feel like you are strong in that field, let's not say experts. Let's not be arrogant, internet. And by the way, if I catch anybody bashing any YouTubers in the comments, don't do that. We don't like that here. We don't like that here. I may make fun myself, but I try to keep it very, very minimal, and I don't want to see that kind of shit on my channel. I want this to be a welcome place for everybody in their audiences, unless you're a homophobe, misogynist, or racist, then you don't need to be here. Cause mama don't like that. That's where mama draws a line. But yeah, so let me know what you think about your favorite YouTubers too. Who you think positively falls into categories? Friends, kids, everybody? Because I think that's a really, really cool kind of thing, because everybody has different talents, and that's the one thing, is everybody thinks that there's only one way to win at Warframe, when really there are many ways. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop the beats right now, because I want to get more Axie relics for the fucking Vault Prime thing that's going on, that's closing up. So, or the Vault Prime vaulting, that's probably the better way to speak of it. But I'm gonna leave that with you guys, and as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch yo Banshee Prime. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!